it's not like Tom, Peyton, and any of the big quarterbacks like getting hit, but he clearly wants no part of getting peppered. And right now, Wirfs was out. Their offensive line, Donovan Smith is probably one of the worst starting left tackles in the league. He's started for a long time. They were kicking. I mean, they were just all over him, just shoving guys into him. Just he looked really uncomfortable. And I think a lot of people that have watched him say that are of like, are we sure, Tom? He has looked uncomfortable this year. And he could, if he was on the 49ers or any other team, the Raiders, he can't move away from pressure. Most teams do not have 4 Trent Williams or 5 Trent Williams, right? So you are minimum going to have a couple guys that you would love to replace. And it is football. Those people also get injured. So you're playing with, I do think there was a report this morning. Did you see like Rap Sheet kind of threw it out there?
Everything's on the table is what Rap Sheet said.
You watch games like this and you just wonder like if there are people in Tom's life like, Tom, you got nothing left to prove. You're 45 years old. Getting hit sucks. Whoever he signed with,
he got hit a lot today.
He's been hit a lot all season. I mean, they've been missing
at one point.
Did you? Someone put the meme up like, "Is Alshire about to get suspended for the next 3 years?" Because the just still photo of him giving like, if you told me Alshire gets suspended like on Thursday, I wouldn't even. You never.
I was
know.
like, "What is Tom?" Tom does talk to the referee a lot. I was like, "What is he complaining about?" And then you see the replay, like, "Oh yeah."
I would say this year he's screaming more than ever. Screaming it now. When's he ever lost this many games in a season? Well, honestly, when's the last time he had 7 losses? I don't think he ever has he? Maybe his second year in the NFL. I think the Patriots missed the playoffs.
Did they not have a 9-7 year?
They did, yeah. And they missed the playoffs. His second year starting. So they win the Super Bowl, 9-7, then back-to-back Super Bowls. But even in the years when they weren't winning Super Bowls, they won the division for 15 straight years. And then he gets to Tampa. People forget, like, they hosted the Rams last year in the second round. Right?
And the Rams had to come back on them.
Yeah, they hosted the Rams. They hosted the Eagles. They didn't win 8 games last year. Tom is not used to losing like they're losing. He is a very, very spoiled. Now, he's earned, like he created that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like he's spoiled just because he got handed wins. Like he's the reason his team's won, him and Bill. And obviously with Tampa, he clearly is a major reason. But he does not handle losing very well. Now, you could go the Vince Lombardi quote, like, show me a guy that's okay with losing. Show me a guy that's not a sore loser. I'll show you a loser or whatever. I mean, Tom's clearly got some of that, but in fairness to him, what would his experience be losing a lot? It's like Phillip Rivers, like, I went through some tough times. Had a lot of seasons we missed the playoffs. You just it's the NFL. It's hard. You hear a lot of quarterbacks when they retire, like, I remember that 3-year stretch, when we won 7 games a year. I didn't know if we'd ever get back to just a playoff game. Like, Tom doesn't talk like that. Every single season Tom has had for basically, I would say starting like with the Randy Moss teams, it was like Super Bowl or bust from like 2007 on. Super Bowl or bust. And honestly, maybe it even started before that. Like once they won back-to-back, like he never went into a season without thinking like, I'm going to win the Super Bowl. Like legitimately thought that and was completely devastated when he lost. Because he just had in his mind all season long, like, we're going to the Super Bowl. And then we're going to win it. Like how many play like Aaron Rodgers doesn't start every season like that. How could he? He's been a fucking one. I'm not saying he's not trying to get there, but like Tom legitimately, more than Peyton, more than Rodgers, maybe Mahomes, but even Mahomes like has missed it a couple times.
Yeah, I mean the question is, does it make him want to play more or less? Does he think I cannot go out like this? Or does he think part of the reason we are in this position is because I'm not as good? Or does he think I just need to get myself on a better team and then the things I do will be more valuable, right? Like Christian McCaffrey, having kind of the same exact season he had for the Panthers for the Niners, just doing it on a much better team. And I wonder if Tom views it that way. Like, put me behind a real offensive line and a receiver I don't have to yell at. And maybe a real head coach. Maybe he doesn't think he's, I don't know. And then everything that I'm doing right now that you think I look too old to be doing won't look too old. I'll get the ball out quicker. I'll get it to McCaffrey. I'll get it to Ayuk. I'll get it to Debo. I'll get it to Kittle. I got Trent Williams over here. McGlinchey's on my front side, so I see what's going on over there, and we'll be good.
Here's the thing. When he had the season, because that's fair to say, And those are conversations you're going to have in these meetings at the end of the season, that all these teams that are going to go through the exercise, right? Beside like 8 teams that won't even entertain it, right? We already know the Cincinnati's, the Buffaloes, the KC's, the Chargers, the probably Philly. But we just had this conversation, guys, 4 years ago. And most people universally were like, it's probably over. Like, Bill's not alone here, right? He was 42. Now he's going to be 46. Like, okay, I burned once. You can burn me again on this one. I think a lot of people are going to feel more comfortably like, I'm not going to fuck around with this. And I think 49er people that just witnessed that,
well,
I think it's harder when you had a front row seat. You're right, because if he was getting peppered in New England like that, most quarterbacks are going to look. I thought he looked really, really terrible. And I thought he looked really, really terrible last week, beside the last 2 drives. He looks old. The balls are flying places, I think, for the first time in his career this season. And maybe it's because of maybe it's just simply age. Maybe it's just simply, who knows? There's probably a million variables. His focus, balls are not going the same spot where he's used to going.
So I felt that way as last year in New England too.
Like when he snapped at Mike Evans, it's like, Tom, Mike was just sitting there waiting for the ball and it fucking flew over his head.
Trice says Brady didn't yell at Mike when he underthrew him in the end zone.
Mike, Tom, you're not throwing to a 5'8" guy here. I mean, Mike Evans is like 6'4". He's enormous.
They did hit a home run touchdown that got called back.
Pretty ticky-tack holding, I thought.
Yeah, Niners got the benefit of some penalty calls. I think your point about having just played him is good. It's the same reason that I don't think – I could be wrong because there's just not going to be that much options out there. But if Stafford isn't back, part of the reason to me that I've said that I don't think McVay would be interested in Garoppolo is because McVay, even though he's been beaten by him many times, is not afraid of him. I think McVay, part of what pisses McVay off is he feels like he should beat the Niners a lot, and he doesn't. But again, he may just not have options, and Jimmy would be a good option for him if he doesn't have Stafford. Jimmy might be his best option, depending on money.
I saw Greg Rosenthal said that you got basically like, how are the Raiders? Their owner wanted him the last time. Now he's got Josh McDaniels. You can flip Derek. And I'm just not sure that Kyle Shanahan, the Niners, would, one, tie up a lot of money. Even if Tom gives him a discount, okay, $25 million for just a 1-year deal. That is a lot of money to put on your books, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, I'm not saying historically you're going to take Purdy over Tom. Obviously, it sounds crazy, but I might short the 46-year-old. And I quoted Greg Rosenthal, and I said, I not only think that the Raiders are going to be aggressive, I think the owner's going to mandate it to those guys. Like, you guys go get
Tom
this guy.
Part or the Derek part or both?
Tom. I mean, the whole thing. Go get Tom, bring him to Vegas. And I don't think the offense.
He doesn't tell
Tom
the
Brady,
GM that, John. He tells Dana.
He tells them all. I think if Tom Brady, I could see him play for Vegas next year. I don't necessarily think. One, I don't think he makes sense in Kyle's offense. I mean, one stable play of this offense is that natural boot. It's a staple play of the offense, which is literally the guy's baby. I mean, the offense is the head coach's baby. The team is, and the mindset is, but a huge mindset for his team is the running game, and then our passing game is based off that, but our quarterback doesn't need to be like Lamar Jackson, but he has to be able to move. Tom can't move. He never really could, but he cannot do those plays, right?
Yeah.
It's just not something that he's going to have in the bag.
Yeah.
Matt Ryan was probably on the high end of this is pushing it a little bit.
Yeah.
I do not think Tom Brady is going to be on the 49ers. And I thought that before we witnessed this today.
Brock out playing.
Not even that. Listen, you missed. You should have done it last time. You didn't. We all can have regrets. We've all made decisions we regret. I wish I would have bought $10,000 of Bitcoin in 2012.
But then you would have had to also sell it,
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe I would have been greedy. I'd been like, oh, this thing's going to $200,000. I'm worth $700 million. But you missed. Sometimes you miss, and you just got to take it, and you don't try to double down on a miss. And that's what I think this feels like. And I think Tom Brady is one of the great athletes I've ever seen. I respect the shit out of everything he stands for and his work ethic and his desire and how much I'm a betting man. I'm betting against him being on the 49ers next year. Honestly, you watch days like today and the majority of last week, I don't think it's a lock he plays next year. I wouldn't bet against him not playing because he's kind of crazy, but like
I know
I do think the Raiders make a lot of sense, guy.
We've gone back and forth on it, and I've said, last week when we talked about him in the Niners, but a lot of great careers end looking like this season kind of looks for the Bucs.
When you say they all, I mean 90% of them.
Almost all, yeah. I mean, some guys walk away, after a championship or something. But yeah, I mean, actually, I'd say a lot of them end even worse. Like the Bucs, for as bad as it is, are around 500.
Well, if I say Tom Brady's on the Raiders next year, what's your first reaction?
Yeah.
Is it like wow, or is it like I can see that?
I can see that. Feels like a weird fit from just like what the organization is. Like, would Tom go play for the Tuck Rule team? Like, but Josh is there. But from a franchise standpoint, he did go to the Bucs, which is not exactly a storied franchise, and he went and played for them, right?
I read
he'd be like, so you're gonna poo-poo me going to play with Devontae? You think that's stupid?
Maybe Rap Sheet wrote this in his article, but it was like he's a big fan of the Glazer family. I think that I read that somewhere in a paragraph today about the Tom. I was like, is that just because they're super rich and he just like they take him to cool stuff?
I was watching some of the World Cup coverage on Saturday morning, and Ronaldo interviewed Harry Kane. And he was like, you're a big Tom Brady fan, huh? He's like, yeah, I watched Tom versus Time, and it really inspired me. And I had a chance to meet Tom. He met Tom when Tom was on that soccer trip last year. And Ronaldo was like, you found out something. What did Tom tell you? And he's like, I was like, Tom, congrats on your retirement. And Tom said to me, well, I don't know if I'm exactly retired. Harry Kane. That guy knew. Tom told that guy he was coming back. So
some of those guys on the soccer team had some good secrets, huh?
Yeah.